listening to an all-new episode of the Christian Gray Snow Show, a podcast from Hurrdat Media. I'm your host, Christian Gray Snow, and today I am joined by two fellow Bravo boys who like to whoop it up just as much as I do. The hosts of About Bravo podcast, Zack and Modesto. We're going to hit on everything from Jen Shah's sidewalk screaming session to the latest tea coming from the RHONY reboot and more. Let's get started. All right, coming up is what's supposed to be Zack and Modesto, but it's Zack killing it for both my girls today because Modesto is a hardworking woman and had a work engagement come up. Is that correct?
That is correct, but hello, surprise, it's me.
Yay, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So a little bit of backstory for everyone listening. We met, it was all three of us met at BravoCon, which was so fun. I wish that we had more time together. I was thinking about that, but the weekend, you'll probably agree, the weekend flies by, and every moment there's something different and chaotic that's happening. It was the craziest thing I've ever experienced. And I talked on the podcast about how even though I had an anxiety attack for 2 of the 3 days, it was still the best 3-day weekend of my entire life. So wanted to see what were your thoughts on BravoCon and your bestie Modesto as well.
Oh my gosh, it was magical and perfect, but also crazy and chaotic. Just like you said, it gave me so much anxiety some days. I'd be walking in the convention center, all of a sudden you just hear freaking screams, and you're like, what's going on? And it would send me through the roof, and then it would just be Dorinda storming down. Yeah. Or it would be, someone from Summer House, and it was just crazy. But I loved every second. It was so great meeting you finally in person, and then the meet and greets were kind of rough. Mm-hmm. You had to wait in line for ever, but the highlight of my weekend was meeting Queen Lisa Barlow.
That's why I'm so excited to talk to y'all this week, because I feel like it's just a big Salt Lake City week, even though the episode, we're going to get into it, for me wasn't that great, but I just feel like there's been a lot of Salt Lake City chatter regardless going on recently.
Right.
But I'm happy that you're here because I know you ride or die for Lisa. But you're right. That's funny you mentioned the screams at BravoCon. That was the most anxiety inducing thing. It's I'm waiting in line to take a piss, and all of a sudden you hear blood curdling screams, and it's okay, is there an attack on someone? Literally. Or did one of the guys, did Joe Gorga take his shirt off? And
I think what it was, the first day was kind of fine, because I remember hearing the screams and then seeing Garcelle, and I got a picture with her before she got mobbed, and then after that, and then after the Beverly Hills stampede, that was when I would start to hear the screams, I was this is triggering. This is terrifying.
It was a lot. I mean, I'll never forget Maggie Kelly, Best of Bravo. She's I don't even have anxiety issues, and I'm freaking out right now.
It was terrifying. I would go into cardiac arrest every single time I would hear it.
Yes. Oh gosh. All right. Well, before we get into our first topic, I always like to start with just a fun, completely random icebreaker question about the housewives. So the first thing I want to ask you is, who do you think, in your opinion, is the most underrated housewife of all time across the board?
Oh my gosh, this is a really, really good question.
Yeah, who deserves their flowers and is not getting them?
Okay, since we're talking about Salt Lake City, Whitney Wild Rose, I think, is just such an underrated housewife. I think that everyone is slandering her on Twitter, and it is crazy to me. I'm so team Whitney.
I am too. I'm so glad you agree.
I think that she is so underrated. I think yes is her delivery a little sloppy, sure, but she knows how to push the storylines and keep it going, and I love her.
I completely agree, and I think also a big thing is that her emotions are valid. Everything I'm okay, yeah, you can get annoyed with maybe the frequency that she brings it up or the method in which she brings it up, but it's her feelings towards Heather are completely valid, and Heather is being emotionless towards just everything. Heather has a wall towards her this season. It's very weird.
It's very weird, and we've talked about it on our podcast because we're not I like Heather Gay, but I'm not a Heather stan. So I think, and I made this kind of prediction, very Caroline Manzo-esque, you heard it here first, by season 5, I think the fans are going to turn on Heather. I think they are going to turn on her. I think it's going to, and we're slowly seeing the building blocks.
Yes.
And I think that Whitney's feelings are very valid, and she's on a healing journey, and I think we should all just appreciate her for that.
Yep, I completely agree, and I think that Heather is very much like a LVP sniper from the side type.
Yes.
I mean, I've even heard a few things that she was doing prior to the Ultimate Girls trip. to, you know, kind of get some of the women on her side, allegedly. So I think we're even going to see some of her messiness play out in that as well. And yeah, I think that, what was it? Gina from Real Housewives of Melbourne. She said, you've got this entire like house of cods and your cods are going to come tumbling down. Yeah.
They're going to come tumbling down. I just think it's only like a matter of time. And I think it's very telling because like you were at the Salt Lake panel, right?
No, I missed it.
Oh my God. That was the best
panel. One. I know.
It was the best panel. But like Whitney at the panel, when her and Heather were going at it, she was like, listen, like you'll see, like I followed Heather like a little like lost puppy, begging her like to try to move forward for like 8-9 episodes. And we're seeing it. Like Whitney wasn't lying. Like we're seeing that actually play out. So
totally. Speaking of Salt Lake City, we saw earlier this week a video leaked by TMZ of Jen Shah screaming her head off on a sidewalk in Salt Lake City, accompanied by what was allegedly some of her family members. And Jen was jenning completely, you know, screaming like crazy. And I'm just like, does this bitch not have like a lot more things to be worried about? Like I don't know if you're going to prison, do you stay home with your family and not leave, or do you go out and enjoy every single moment of freedom that you have while you can? Like I don't get her mindset right now. Talk to me. What do you think?
I think just at this point she has just like accepted her like fate and like she just like doesn't care. I mean it's just like, I mean she didn't care to begin with, but now I think it's just like totally across the board she's just like does not care. And it's just like, I mean, the screaming, I don't even know what she was saying, but it was just so on brand. And I mean, like, even in this, like, past episode, she can't talk because she was screaming in the last episode. And this is just her. It's just Jen Shah.
And also, like, even right before we recorded this, like, I saw there was an update where she fired back at Tamra Judge because Tamra said, you know, about, like, Jen, like, just kind of rolled into her hotel room or whatever. And Jen was calling them like the two pussies in a podcast or something like that. And I'm like, girl, go get off the internet.
Put the phone down, Jen. Like, put it down. Like, it's like one of those, there's like many housewives. I mean, Lisa Rinna, like those kind of housewives. It's it's like, put the phone away. Like, take a beat. Take a beat before you say something. They like
spiral. It's insane. I also find it interesting that TMZ updated that article, and it says a source close to Jen Shah tells TMZ that she was leaving dinner with friends when two strangers started hurling homophobic slurs, and the source says Jen was reacting to those strangers who are not seen in the video.
Okay. Sure, Jan.
A lot of times determined that was a lie.
Yeah, I don't know about that one. I'm like, okay.
I love it. All right, well, keeping on the Salt Lake City train, we were also gifted with the mid-season trailer this week for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Have you had? I guess you had a chance to watch it. They aired it in the episode as well. What were your thoughts?
Very soon for a mid-season, I feel.
It's going to be a short season, I guess.
Yeah, and then also like Angie H, like where? Like, where is she?
Like, I'm like, she is literally like that. This network keeps playing with her and she just keeps falling for it. I don't understand.
They are playing her like a fiddle and she is just like, I'm going to try to do like anything to get out. I mean, the whole Shaw exposed thing. I mean, here's the thing about when I say Angie H. I kind of like the desperation. Like, it's weird. I kind of like it. I'm like, keep going. Like, what else can you do?
It's refreshing, kind of, in a weird way.
I know, because I feel like we just haven't seen, like, that's what I like about these, like, different cities that aren't, like, Beverly Hills or, like, New York or, like, Atlanta. It's, like, kind of like these, like, women who have nothing else to do, and this is, like, their one shot to, like, go for something.
This is everything. So,
it is so funny. Like, the whole thing with her husband, to me, like, that's just like crazy. I don't know. I love the desperation of it all. I hate to say it.
I was talking with this about someone who doesn't even watch Housewives. I was getting like an outer, like, you know, perspective, and I was asking, like, what would you do, like, if your man or like your friend's man did that, like, you know, made a fake profile to troll, like, you know, his girl's enemy that was like, you know, whatever. And she was like, I don't think a man would do that. I think that he's saying he did it, and she's the one that did it. I was like, that is a good point.
I think that she did it, and I think like he is taking the beat. But say he did do it, that is so embarrassing. That is
It's
like
embarrassing
so
either way, and it's
it's embarrassing either way, but it's a little bit like, I mean, I can like see her doing that, but like for him to do that, I just think it's just so weird.
Yeah, you're supposed to be like a full-time career man, baby. Go to work.
Yeah, like I don't know. It's just like, I'm like, if my man did that, I would be like reading him for filth. Like I wouldn't be like sticking up for him like she is, which is like, he's like totally fine. Like he was like, I didn't even know that he was doing. Yeah, you did. You probably if he did, if it wasn't you, you told him to do it. You told him to pick up the phone and do it. So I don't know. It's just like, I would be like, ooh, ick. Like I get the ick so easily. So like I don't care how long I'm married to you. Bye. I cannot. Deuce. Bye. Like, no.
I love it. No, I felt for Whitney in that moment too, where she's like, I'm standing here in this fucking stupid ass costume matching with her, and it's coming out that her like husband did this, you know? And
I
I'm
would be so embarrassed if
I would be mortified.
The thing that was so funny to me about the last episode or the episode before it, with Meredith and Seth going to dinner with Angie and her husband, like you could tell that like Meredith was like, all right, we're like filming with this girl, like maybe she's gonna be full-time, maybe she's not, we don't have a relationship, so let's just film with her, okay? And then they sit down and he says that, and you can tell the marks were like, this is so embarrassing. Why are we sitting with these people?
I mean, I feel like even halfway through the dinner, I think I talked about it on my podcast. I was like, Meredith was so clocked out. Like her Xanax hit before the appetizers got there.
Literally.
She was like, where am I? Because this shit is boring.
She was like, I just took a melatonin and I am out.
I love it. But yeah, so we were talking about the mid-season trailer. I mean, for me, it was a little tame.
It was tame compared to like that epic Game of Thrones style like trailer that we got,
which I feel like the season, if I'm being honest, really isn't living up to that 100% quite yet. And so I'm hoping that, you know, and also listen, I will always love my Salt Lake City girls, and I think everybody should be watching, but if you pay attention to ratings too, live ratings anyway, there was a significant decline a couple of weeks ago.
They were low.
They were like in the 400s, which for them is not normal at all. Like,
I was shocked. I was in tears almost.
No, girl, me too.
It was bad.
I was at work and I gasped out loud. I was like, "Oh my god!" What?
I was like, "That is crazy." Because I think this is one of the most like compelling television shows like around right now.
Even having a slow season, it's still incredible TV.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. You know, I really, really do. I have to be honest. I do wish that we still had some Mary around. I think that just even a sprinkling of Mary would be just enough, you know, of what we need.
I don't agree with like a lot of people where they're like, oh, this season is like a flop without her. Because I think that she was kind of like a kooky, fun side character. I don't think she was ever like a main girl, but she brought that like je ne sais quoi to like Salt Lake. Like that kind of just like, I don't know. It just was something different, something so kooky that we had never seen before. And I love the kookiness of it all.
I'm sorry, but Women was literally top 3 best Bravo moments in history. I don't
it's so good.
What anyone says. Yes. But I just think, you know, even her as a friend of, I think next season would be a great move, you know, just to have her presence around a little bit, to have her opinions going. I'm really, really sad we don't get to see her there for Jen's departure. I think that would have been life-changing television, but you know.
Do you think she'll ever come back? Like,
I mean, she broke like the number 1 rule,
which is like my number 1. Like that's my number 1 too.
You can't not come to reunions. You know, like you have to come to reunions. And my whole thing is, if they forgive her for it, then that could open up, you know, all these women in the future. They're like, well, it's happened before. Like when people have rough seasons and then they don't want to show up. It's like, you have to fucking show up. You know, and I get that she had a rough season. She did, but I mean, like she felt like people were coming for her, you know, her church and stuff like that. But I'm like, girl, if we look at some of the things these other women over the course of the years have shown up during.
I know. I was like, yeah, maybe your church is a cult, but like you didn't defraud the elderly. So like, you got us there.
And we've literally watched families fall apart on a reunion stage.
Literally. And I feel like we're going to see it like in Jersey soon. So I'm just like,
I'm not ready. I'm not ready. Like I love Jersey so much. Everybody knows I ride or die for Teresa, but even though knowing Teresa will always come out on top, it is an emotionally draining experience each season of that show, because well, number one, the discourse online is exhausting, you know.
And I feel like across the board it's been so tiring.
But
Just like
Beverly Hills, Potomac, and Jersey will kill you.
Yeah, I'm like, can we get a grip? Like, I am like, please touch grass for like a second. Like, it's not that serious. Like, I know it's serious like sometimes in the like there's certain situations, but overall, like, especially with Beverly Hills, like, I mean, for instance, like they had a whole segment on the reunion talking about what's worse, the C word or evil, and like Teresa screamed it for like 5 minutes and they didn't even talk about it once after that. So like I just don't understand, like, that it's just crazy to me.
And to me, I'm sorry, I would get so many people disagree with me, but to me, calling someone evil is worse than calling.
I agree. I said the same thing.
If I call you evil, I think you're the devil. Yeah. If I call you a cunt, I think that you just did something fucked up.
Right. It's like, okay, like, yeah, if you call me a cunt, like, whatever, like, it's kind of like calling me a bitch, but like, if you call me evil, you really think the worst of me.
Evil
like,
is
horrible.
like murder. Evil is like intention to like hurt people. Yes.
Thank you. I thought I had like the biggest hot take with that one.
I know.
I was so pressed, but I was like, I agree.
We're gonna dive into episode 8. It's already episode 8, and like you said, mid-season trailer. So we're probably only gonna have 14, 15, 16 episodes plus probably a 2-part reunion. We'll get into that at the end, my thoughts on what's going to happen at the reunion. But essentially the first big scene, aside from Lisa like talking to her kids, were the men. And they were like, what is that word? Seasoning meat for like a barbecue in their kitchen. And I just need to say, this is the last fucking thing that I wanted to see this week. You know what I'm saying?
It was also too long.
It was so long.
I mean, a minute segment would have been too long, but this was, I mean, it was like 15 minutes, I felt like.
And they didn't even talk about anything good.
No, I was like, okay, like, I understand the appeal of the Jersey men. Like, I kind of can, like, give people their credit there. I get it. Those men are, like, very charismatic and stuff. But then you've got Salt Lake, and no offense, I love the Salt Lake house husbands. But they are like, some of them are like sandpaper. Okay. Dude. I love John Barlow. I really do. But that man is like just not good on television. But I love him. I met him at BravoCon. He was so nice. Like, I love him. But I don't need to see it like a full blown segment.
Listen, I bet John Barlow is a sweet man. I really, really do. But my next line of my notes here says John Barlow clearly took lines from Lisa and could only repeat what she had said. Like,
it was so funny.
He knew what he was supposed to say, and he was not supposed to veer out of those lanes. And Lisa sent him in with very clear directions.
You know that Lisa was watching and like mouthing the script that she gave him.
The entire thing. Yeah. And she's like, okay, babe, you did exactly what you needed to do. And I mean, even though, and his point was stupid. He's like, well, they said that Lisa's been cheating on me, And Seth's like, dude, that was like months after the fact. Like, and that's when I was like, okay, yeah, Lisa clearly fed him these lines because that's not even like logical.
Yeah, no, it makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I understand, like, and that's one of my favorite scenes of the season, actually, is like when she calls him in Arizona. She's like, they said this, John. He's laughing. Like, I thought that was just so funny. But like, it's in this situation, it was just like, okay, you just have to like take it. Like, it's like, I think, and I love the Barlows. I want no one to, I'm obsessed with Barlows.
Yes.
But there needed to be a little bit more accountability in that conversation. I think Lisa has done enough apologizing, but I think since that was the first conversation between John and Seth, there needed to be just a little bit more like, yeah, what happened was just not it. You know?
I think that's perfectly said. And then, you know, before we move on from the husband scene, it's like, just for like producers, it's like, I don't care. I'm sorry. I care about emotions, but we got to deal with perspective at some point too. Like we're 8 episodes in and not one person is what is the point of a husband scene if no one's going to ask him if he thinks she's innocent?
Oh my God. I know.
What's the point? Like,
why are we here? Why are we here?
Yes. I'm like, I feel like I'm in a straight bar. I'm very, very uncomfortable. If someone doesn't start gossiping, I need to leave.
I'm like, this is, and then And then they're sitting there and they're like, oh, just making sure that no one's throwing punches. And I'm like, you think those two men are going to throw punches?
Right.
I'm like, look at them.
One of them's wife's on Xanax 24/7, and then the other one is following a very strict script. Like, nothing is going to happen. You know?
I don't think throw punches in the script at all.
I love it. How are you feeling about the newbies so far? We have 3 friends of this season, and it seems like their presence is going to be pretty big in the second half of the season. So what are you thinking?
I like how we're like ramping up with them and they're getting a little bit more screen time. Like, I'm enjoying Angie K. I want to see more of Dana. Is it Dana or Dana?
I think it's Dana. Yeah.
I want to see a little bit more of her since I know that she's going to get into it with Jen. And I'm like really excited for that. Like, I cannot wait for that. That was like one of my favorite parts of the trailer. And then obviously I'm enjoying Angie H, but like
her mess.
She's just like a mess. Like, I'm like kind of living for it. And she's like a caricature of like the housewives.
Yeah. And well, she kind of has nothing to lose. So, I mean, like, she's rich. So she's like, I mean, the worst that's going to happen is y'all don't put me on the show, you know, which I think would upset her. But at the end of the day, I think it's also why she's going balls to the wall while she has the chance, you know, and I'm like, for that, I give you props, you know.
I want to see some more of Angie K. I liked her confessional was gorgeous, and then I thought it was funny when she was in the car with Jen and she made them do the sign of the cross.
I love it. She did the sign of the cross. She goes, "Great church,
great church." I was like, see, those are like the kind of housewives moments that I like live for, like those just that kind of like those little moments, you know. And that's why I really like Salt Lake, because it like Salt Lake reminds me of like RHONY, and I like miss that like chaotic energy of RHONY. I'm like a RHONY stan, so like right now I'm going through it, guys. I'm like really upset. Ooh, but Salt Lake is like giving me those moments that I like need.
Yeah, I love that. And another thing you said about Dan, I want to get to know more with her, is I saw Lisa said on Watch What Happens Live this week that she just opened like a lash bar or something like that, like an eyebrow place. And then also she's a real estate agent. So I'm like, okay, I like the business girls.
Yeah.
I'm a Vicky fan. Like, I like my working girls. Like, I like my girls that got stuff, you know, got their thing going on. And so I want to see her business life. I'm really, really excited to see how she'd be making her coin. You know?
Right. Yeah. And I think this season is kind of like an audition for the 3 of them to see like who's gonna snag like Jen's snowflake, you know, because it's like it's starting to become more and more clear that like even if Jen was like, I don't know, like when she's going away or anything like that, but like it sounds like Andy is just like, I'm over it.
I think that Andy is Jen's least biggest fan in the entire world at the moment.
I know. Yeah.
And he has no problem showing it, which is very rare for like normally he'll hint and be kind of shady. But I mean, for him to say the end of the engagement line, I was like, oh, shit.
But you know? Listen here, Mr. Cohen. Okay, if she is not in prison by the time the reunion films, like, she needs to be on that couch. I'm sorry. She has to be there.
Okay. All right, so we were going to talk about this at the end. We're going to talk about it now. I don't think that Jen is going to be invited to the reunion.
I mean, I don't either, but I'm like, I want her there so bad.
I mean, well, my thing is, well, obviously I want her to answer Andy's questions, but I think she also has to answer to the women, to the Meredith, to Heather, which Heather don't give. Heather's like, Jen Shah could have blown an old person's head off, and Heather would say, well, everybody makes mistakes. Like, Heather is
she's
sticking
like, I'm
going
to hold your hand the entire way through this process. I'm like, okay.
No. So, but yeah, I mean, I want to see, I think a one-on-one with Jen and Andy would be epic, but I also think that she has a lot to answer for outside of him as her boss and as a producer on the show. Like, I think that she's, you know, she really took all these women on a ride, and a lot of them, you know, used to believe her and now don't, and didn't believe her and now do. And I don't know. I think that a lot of them have questions that deserve to be answered, you know? Also, where's Sharif? Is he coming to the reunion? I got questions for him.
I have so many questions for the both of them. I think they have to be there. It's like they need to answer to like America. They need to answer to Andy. They need to answer to the women, especially after like the complete about face that like Meredith made from like last season, where she was like so against Jen, and then she was like riding for her this season,
and was in New York.
In New York, like I'm like, and then she pleads guilty. Like I need to hear like the confrontation. Like I have to. It's like it's owed to us.
And if there, yes, that honestly, can we just skip? If there are not 4 episodes based on the New York guilty plea alone, then I'm fucking gonna need to talk to someone.
That needs to be an entire cast trip like segment. Like it needs to be 3 episodes. Like
I completely agree.
Yeah.
No, but I do think that the writing is on the wall. You're right. As much as I want her there, you know, I think that number one, her not being invited to BravoCon, I think said a lot because she still isn't. She's actively on the show I mean, it's still airing. They haven't edited her out or anything. So that was sign number one. Then Andy, obviously, she showed up at BravoCon. Andy was not fucking playing with that. Basically, he told her to leave. He said that the engagement was over. She now has also not been invited. She's not on the after show.
She's not on the after show either.
And every single friend is on the after show. So I think, to me, the network is like, if you're going to be seen with these women, it's not anything we're paying for.
Yeah. I think they're like really, really done with her.
I know.
It's like, I don't know. It's kind of sad. I like love Jen.
She's a
criminal. She's a horrible person, but I love her. I mean, she's so charismatic. Like, I don't know how someone can do that. Like,
I don't know how such a bad person can be so funny.
I don't get it. I mean, you have to give her flowers there. Like, she has made, like, she's like America's sweetheart right now, and she's like horrible.
Even like the fucking confessional last night where she was like, my secret is determination, grit, and anti-anxiety medicine. And I was like, that is a word right there. That is scripture.
That is like, she is preaching. Okay, like Mary Cosby Ware, like we have Preacher Jen.
Yes. Also, the choir storyline. I want to talk to you about that. This to me is the weirdest. Like, okay, I get it being a thing, but I don't get why it's such a main focus. You know, like we had a lot of time with the men and a lot of time at the choir last night. And I'm like, and the weird thing is y'all are on vacation next week. They have an off week next week. So this is the last piece of content we'll see of these women for 14 days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, from a producer standpoint, that is not really an effective strategy, in my opinion.
No. And like the cliffhanger of the episode wasn't really leaving us like being like, oh my God, I need an episode. How dare they go on a break? Like, it's like kind of like, all right, I'll see you when I see you. Like, enjoy Thanksgiving. But like, I don't know. I do think the choir storyline is kind of camp, but like only as like a background noise. Like, I think it's funny that they are at a choir event arguing about all these things, but I don't want to hear about the choir event that much.
Exactly. And 2 things. Number one, Heather better thank Whitney for holding her accountable, because if it wasn't for this, the choir would be all she had going on, and we are already really pushing it with the choir.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Miss Heather. Okay, like
Heather's overrated. She might be fun, but she's overrated. Sorry.
She is. Like, I listen, I don't like, it's not like I don't like her.
Me either.
Like,
I like her, but she's overrated.
She's one of the most overrated ones. Like, if I was sitting on that couch at BravoCon where I was asked, like, you know, like when Vicky was asked who's the most overrated housewife and she got in trouble, and you were stressing that, like, I remember your text, you were like, I'm going through an existential crisis right now. Like,
strangers came up to me like, did you hear what Vicky said? And I was like, oh no, what?
It was, oh God. But like, I would say Heather, and like when I was at the panel, and this is this on my podcast, no shade to the person who went on the mic and said this. Like, if Heather's your favorite, God bless you. No shade to you. But
was it the moment of her?
It was the moment where she was like, oh my gosh, Heather, you are like this like fairy, and we are all in love with you, and you just like spread,
make us happy.
And Heather's crying, and she got a standing fucking ovation, and I was like, this is weird. I was like, this is so weird. We have a new Mary. There's a new cult. Like, it just felt like so weird.
I was like, are we looking at the same person on stage? Like,
I was like, what is going on here on this day? I am so confused.
Very, very, very weird. So like, I get that the choir can be fun. It could have been like a couple episode type thing, but I'm really surprised that producers like went forward to the level of it that they are. Also, just in my opinion, just a note, all storylines that are this big and this have this much of a focus on them should have an end goal and point, right? So even if it's a fucking fitness competition, which I hate, we're going to have an end goal. You're either going to win or lose. women who, women, whether if they're talking about like a fertility journey, they document every single element of it up until the final, transfer to see if something works, whether it be that, a divorce, whether you're trying to get your divorce finalized. What is the end goal for the choir?
Like, are we pitch perfecting it? Like, are we having like nationals? Like, is it?
Are we going on tour? Are y'all trying to sing at BravoCon next year? Like, I just, are you doing? Maybe if we're going to do a choir, so we can do a show that raises money for something. That to me would make sense.
Something. But right now, it just feels like Heather's I just am missing. Like, it's like what. Like, Heather, what is the truth? Do you not like the Mormon Church, or do you like the Mormon Church? This seems like her drug. Like, she is like
pick
obsessed.
Pick a lane.
And it's like it's so weird. Like, I'm like, you have Whitney over on like don'tbeamormon.com and printing off like contracts to like be out of the church, and then you have Heather who's like saying she's out of. I'm so confused. I'm like, how are you out of the church, or are you not out of the church?
She's writing a book called Bad Mormon at the same time she's creating a church choir.
I'm like, make it make sense. I'm so confused.
I don't know. I don't even know that she knows what she wants at this point, but it's not my issue to figure out.
I'm like, babe, I'm here for this healing journey that you are on. But like, I don't know if I need to see every season. It's the Mormon thing every season. And I'm just kind of like
I need her to go out and get some dick. I need her to go out and get her heart broken. I need her, to fight with her kids. Like, we got to get something
else.
Because you fighting with family that's not on camera is not it.
No, she's always talking about like her extended family, and I'm like, where are they?
If I was them, I'd be like, bitch, you better cut me a check.
Yeah, like, give me some of that coin right now.
Well, we close out the episode with Angie K and Jen Shah doing a pool day on what appears to be a shared pool, and like a community pool. And I found something out. This is the apartment building where production stays while they're in town. And
Shut up.
Yes, and they go there and film. And it apparently is where they also filmed the choir scene from this episode. And they filmed a finale party there 1 year before. So I'm guessing the production company has like a leasing deal with them. So they come in for like 5-6 months at a time. And I'm like, where is the creativity? You are bringing these women to your apartment building and filming on the roof of a pool that's empty.
We've been bamboozled.
Where is the budget? Rent out a spa.
Nowhere to be found.
Like, I would rather it be a lunch scene than that
the pool scene. Like,
I pay attention to scenery and like what's going on. Where are we? I like to look up the restaurants and the businesses of where people go on the show. And so I was like,
I love like a one-on-one sit down, like at a nice restaurant. I like hearing their orders. I like all that kind of stuff. But like this, I was like,
No, I was like, okay, we're doing like a little spa moment. And then I saw how big the pool was and all the chairs around. And I was like, this is not giving spa. So then I had
wow. Boots on the ground, Christian. Yes. You are like super investigating.
I love it. All right, so out of 10 snowflakes, how many snowflakes would you rate this episode?
Probably like a 6.5.
Oh, girl, that is generous. Like, Jen Shah better hope the judge is that generous.
It's because I don't know. It's just like I just love seeing these women, like, regardless. Mm-hmm. So like. It has to be really fucking boring for me to like rate it really low. Gotcha. But like this had like some moments, like I was like, okay, like it would probably be a 5 if I didn't get that sign of the cross when they were driving past the church.
Those 12 seconds saved it, didn't it?
Saved it, really.
This is actually the lowest rating I've given out in a while. Maybe I'm just in a bad mood, but I'm giving it a 4.5. I just feel like there was a lot of potential there, and it feels like, I don't know. I'm wondering if producers went into it banking on the Jen Shah of it all this season, and they aren't really doing a lot of heavy lifting. And I think maybe there should have been a little more. Yeah. Just something going. They're like, again, and also creative decisions that we could have had like literally 10 more minutes with some of the women.
I agree.
And or bring the women to the cookout and have the women arguing on one side and the men on the other.
That would have been so much better, because then it could have been like the women like speculate. Like Lisa could have been like, "Oh my gosh, John is talking to Seth right now. Oh my gosh," and they're like, it just could have been like a whole thing. So I wish that would have happened. I also like know that the 4 can like bring it, because like after that Salt Lake panel at BravoCon, like I was like worried because I was like, damn, like we don't got Mary anymore, and Jen is like not invited here, and that was the best fucking panel. Like it was insane. Like the women were like firing on all cylinders. So like I know that these 4 are like stars and can all like bring it in their own right. So.
Yeah, the star power is definitely there. It's just, look, I think it's obviously just a weird season with them. And at the end of the day, while I'm sitting here saying I wish producers could have done something differently, they were also handed a platter of mess this season. You know, losing Jen, also coming off the heels of the Jenny mess of it all.
Oh yeah, they really had to script. They were scrambling.
Yes, and then adding 3 friends, and then Jen lying to them all production.
Yeah.
You know, and so I think there's that probably honestly altered the course of the entire storyline of the whole fucking season, you know, because I feel like at that moment they probably had to go revisit every plan they had, you know,
also,
when she pled
like,
guilty.
Also, like, I was like confused because I thought I heard like there was rumors that like Jenny had like filmed like the beginning part of the season and they like interrogated her. And then like there was also that footage of Heather and Jen at Mary's church with Bravo cameras. Like,
what
do you remember
happened
that?
with that? Yes, and they were like out there talking to people in cars and
yeah, like I was like, where's that? Where's that? I want to see that.
Yeah, my friend's like, no, they should have started off with the Jenny sit down, being like, look, we're acknowledging this, like, you know, this is fucked up. You're a horrible person. Then the very public Mary, the footage of Jen and Heather at Mary's church that everyone was talking about. Yeah, they were kind of swept under the rug, and I do feel like maybe that would have grounded us a little bit in the beginning and what is kind of a disjointed season.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it would have given us like, because it was just like, boom, like Jenny's gone, like no explanation. Like if you're not on social media and you're like the Midwestern like moms who watch the show,
you would never know.
You would never know.
Yeah.
You know, like...
It's true. All right, everybody. It is official. It's very sad. We were hit with some really hard news this week. Horrible for me, if you ask. Ramona Singer, the singer Stinger herself, confirmed to Page Six this week that she will not be participating in the Real Housewives of New York City Legacy project, saying, "I do not want to do the show any longer. It is not for me at this time." Listen. You can't have Legacy without the longest running cast member of all time. Luann might have only been a friend of for like 1 season, but there's zero comparison between the amount of iconic moments between Lou and Ramona. It's no shade to Lou. It's just facts, you know. This is a huge miss. I think if Ramona is not going to be involved in Legacy, there shouldn't even be a Legacy, personally. Curious to see what your reactions are to this. You know, a lot of people were talking shit to me because they're like, Ramona's a horrible person. She is a horrible person. I'm not watching to celebrate her virtue or good character, you know.
I think that the people who watch these shows, I think you have to ask yourself, why do you watch this show? If you're not watching it for like, I'm not watching these women to like for like an example of role model behavior. Like I want to see like the worst of the worst. Obviously, like there's a line, but like Ramona is RHONY to me. Like and I'm a RHONY stan. That's my favorite franchise across the board. Like I love RHONY. So like this has been tough. This has been so hard. So when she announced, I was like heartbroken. Like Ramona's a monster, but she's my monster. You know, like it's like that's how I feel about it. So I can understand like what, you know, she's horrible and she's done and said horrible things, but like I'm doing a RHONY rewatch right now, like little bit of like, you know, seasonal depression, mental health, like pick me up.
Good
and it's so good. And those early seasons are like so camp. And Ramona is just like, she has been Ramona Singer since episode 1.
She has
There's no changing.
If I remember correctly, I think she was the opening scene of RHONY, was her dancing.
Yes.
And her and Mario were out for a night out. And she is literally the same fucking person. Like, I saw a tweet. It was the funniest shit. And it was like, Ramona is an ageless monster who never once gained self-awareness ever.
I was watching and I was just floored with like how things would just fly out of her mouth. Like, I mean, in season 1, like the whole, like Simon entering the girls' night, which I mean, like, yeah, that's like it's weird, but like she was just like, what are you doing here? And then like he goes to like shake her hand and she's like, ow, like you're hurting my hand, and she's like freaking out and she's just being like so obnoxious. And then she gets up from the table like mid dinner and she's like, I gotta leave, I'm going to the club with my girls for an actual girls night, an actual girls night, like storms out and runs away. It's just like so
you
funny.
Can't write this shit. It's brilliant, you know?
No.
Yeah. So I think it's a huge miss, you know, and I don't know. Do you think that was this a Ramona decision? Do you think this is a Bravo decision? They're giving her the opportunity to say she's not interested.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think she like had a feeling that she wasn't going to get asked. And I also think that she was like, if you are even debating on if I should be on it or not, then I don't want to be on it. Like,
and rightfully so.
Which rightfully so. Like, I don't think that's an issue. And I think Bravo was viewing her as a liability, but I also think that Bravo is listening to the fans, like, sometimes a little too much.
Yes.
Like, sometimes I think that the fans, like, don't know what they want.
They don't.
So, like, for example, and I'm very guilty of this, I was one of those people that was like, fire Tamra. She's such a mess. She's so annoying. And I regret it. And I have seen the error of my ways, and I won't be like that again, because I know that, like, we need those people, you know? So I think in this situation, it's like Ramona's RHONY. Like, especially like Legacy. Why is it taking so like long to cast Legacy? There's 7 people that you can pick from. Like, that are like supposed to be the Legacy,
and you you passed on the most obvious choice,
right? So like, call them up, get a camera on them, stat, and like start filming. Like, now this is like, I just don't understand why it's taking so long.
It's like, come the fuck on. And I wish that they would have established this before they would have done the reboot. I think it would have helped, you know, smooth the transition for us viewers who are really having a hard time with it.
Yeah, it's
you know,
death to me.
Listen, people judge the shit out of me when Vicky got fired. Sorry, I just dropped my microphone. People judged the shit out of me when Vicky got fired. I was devastated. I felt like I lost a friend. I felt like someone died, because it was the first time too. She was like the first really, really big, like, long running without a break that, you know.
Right. Yeah.
And so I knew then, I was like, the moment that this becomes okay, no one is safe.
No one's safe. Yeah.
And it's like, because I love my OGs. I like the women who I've invested my time in. I want to grow with them. I want to watch till the day that either they die or I die. You know,
me and you are the same in that. I am very much like an OG, like, rider. Like, it's like, yes, like, I can also call out my faves. Like, I know when they're like wrong. Like, I know when they're like not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but I also don't want them off my TV. Like, I'm sorry. And people are like, to your point, like, now with like Vicky, like, BravoCon was a huge wake up call, I think, to Bravo.
Think so, yeah.
Because, like, I mean, like, there's that one clip from like her meet and greet where that girl's like crying.
I took that.
Yeah, like, she's like, I was like, this looks like, someone said it looks like someone meeting the Pope. Like, I mean, it was like,
so people were crying. Vicky was crying. People were like, Vicky, and it was so cool to see that, you know.
And I think that people are gonna like watch this RHONY Legacy and be like, you know, I wish we were having Ramona say stupid shit right now. I don't want Legacy with Jill Zarin if Jill Zarin is not playing tennis against Ramona Singer.
Or I don't want to see Dorinda if Ramona's not terrorizing the living shit out of her.
And also, we deserve to see them, because they haven't, like, they haven't spoken in so long. I know they spoke recently, but it's been like, I mean, they went a year or something or two without speaking to each other. So I think we like deserve to see that. I think we be Jill and Ramona. I think there's just a lot of different factors that we deserve, and I feel like we're being like gypped.
We are. I don't know that there's any decisions or minds that can be changed, but for the love of, I mean, can we GoFundMe? Like, I don't know, like, I
get a petition going. Like, seriously,
I genuinely would rather them not do it. I would rather them not do it.
I'm not all the way there. I need at least some of my women. Like, I'm not that far gone. Like, I'm like, all right, like, I'm like, all right, suck it up. This is hard. Like, it's like I buried like my loved one, and now I'm like, okay, well, at least I got my Aunt Luann and my Aunt Sonia. Like, I love my girl Lou. You know, like, it's like, let's get, like, I'm still excited for it, because I also am excited to see, because obviously, like, they're saying that Kelly Ben Simone is coming onto it, and like, as much as I like hated her when she was like on before. Like, I just know she's like chaotic and crazy.
Her and Dorinda together scares the shit.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be like fantastic, and I'm like, I can't wait to see that. So
they're literally gonna have like therapists on site to like talk these women off the ledge.
No, I know, and people were like, we posted like a clip on our page about Kelly's like introduction onto the show, and people were in the comments like, I hate Kelly, and I was like, that's fine.
Yeah,
but she is crazy TV. Like I'm
and
ready.
She hasn't been on in years, and the bitch is itching too. So she's gonna come and bring it. That will be the one good thing about Legacy is that they've all been so desperate for it for so long. They're gonna come in guns blazing.
I think
they're gonna have 10 episodes off the first 2 days of filming.
Yeah. I'm like, you can't do like an Ultimate Girls Trip style season with Legacy. Like, it's got to be like a full thing with.
We got to have like months of filming, all that stuff. Yeah. Well, while Ramona is not participating in Legacy, it seems the Real Housewives of New York City reboot for season 14 is off to somewhat of a rocky start, as one of the intended cast members has already stopped filming and announced her departure from the series. Lizzie, is it Savetsky? Is that how you say her last name?
Yeah, I believe so.
Lizzie Savetsky, she was supposed to be on season 14. She was also in the mix for the Real Housewives of Dallas prior to them being canceled. And there was like, I can't remember, there was, I meant to put it in here. I'm going to try to find it, but there was this guy who did a voice note. I think his name was Ryan on Twitter, and he did a voice note yesterday claiming that he had the RHONY tea.
I saw that. I did see that.
Saying that because the Dallas thing fell through, the network really liked her, and they basically assisted her in moving to New York to be a part of this reboot. And the thing that is weird, though, is that she's now saying that she's departing it due to like all these anti-Semitic comments that she's been getting all over her social media towards her and her family since announcing that she was joining the show. And listen, she said she wants to take a step in a different direction after seeing the hate that's coming her way towards her and her kids. I completely get that, respect that decision. However, we do have to acknowledge the mess that there are people saying her story is not 100% the reason, because before she even released this statement, it was on bravoandcocktails.com that one of the wives had made some bigoted comments to a co-star, and production was like freaking the fuck out because they didn't know how to handle it. And essentially that someone who had wanted this so badly, aka the girl coming from Dallas to New York for the job, had fucked up her shot. And she has since announced her departure. I personally am leaning towards the said something fucked up on camera storyline. I want to see what are your thoughts on this?
We are in agreement again.
Okay. We're like sisters.
I know, sisters. Come on. But yeah, it's giving. I don't know. I find it very hard to believe that the woman who test filmed for Dallas and then moved from Dallas to New York quit. Like, I just don't see that in the cards here. And especially since it was, because it started like, I started hearing just like a little bit of things and I didn't know if it was true or not. And then it started like snowballing. And that's when the news came out on like Variety and Page 6 and like that she had quit. And she like made her statement that she quit. And I was like, this sounds very like a PR move to like get ahead of something and twist the narrative into her favor. And
the guy I told you that put the tweet out, the little audio tweets, he was basically saying that her PR team was trying to get ahead of it. I don't know if Bravo's even going to acknowledge it. Will she be included in the episodes up until now? Will they scrap her?
I saw that Bravo. I thought I saw somewhere that Bravo said it was like a mutual decision or something like on that end. I also like. I don't know who this woman is, but we posted her on our story. Her name's Emily like Gellis.
Oh, I saw her.
Like yes. And she like knows this girl.
She lives on like the Upper East Side, I think.
Yeah. So she knows, and so she was like, listen, like, and this is how I kind of am too. Like, I'm sure that she was getting like some threats and things like that. So I'm not taking that away, but I don't think that's like the reason that she's like not going to be on the show. Like, but like what Emily was saying is that like Lizzie is like trash. Like basically like was like she is not a good person and she's leaning towards the story that's going around being like true. But then she said that it was kind of like deep. So like she didn't want to say
that she said something really, really fucked up and that like allegedly Lizzie's husband is doubling down on it too, saying because they expected her. They like produced like a sit down between Lizzie and the other woman, whoever she said something really fucked up to.
I think it's Bryn.
Is it Bryn? Okay.
Yeah, I think it's Bryn.
And then apparently the sit down did not go as planned.
What I heard was that because Lizzie is like a matchmaker.
Oh.
But she's a Jewish matchmaker, and I guess what I'm hearing is that Bryn asked to be set up by her, and Lizzie said she only sets up Jews. So like that's what I heard caused the rift.
Got you.
And then Bryn, and this is all hearsay. I don't, but like I do. That Bryn is the housewife that I'm hearing it went down with.
Got you.
So yeah.
I mean, well, thank God they had 7 people on the roster, because if they only had 6 and lost one into filming, can you imagine?
Yeah, I know, and I think I'm worried for the reboot, but I'm also kind of excited. I don't know.
Me too.
Like I'm like eager to see it. Like I'm eager to see what goes down. And also like I'm excited for how diverse it is. Like Sai, like she's Puerto Rican. I'm Puerto Rican. We're really excited for her, especially and then like Jenna, like I think she's gonna be good. And then Erin, she gives me like just based on her pictures, I've like Instagram stalked all of them. She gives me like a Stassi energy, so like I kind of like that. So I think it will be interesting to watch, and I hope the women bring it, and I hope they like take the torch, and I wish them nothing but the best. I'm really sad what they did to my RHONY, but I want to keep RHONY going, obviously, because it's like my favorite show. So I wish them nothing but the best, and we'll see what happens. I'm very eager to see if they do include. I feel like they have to include the Lizzie. I feel like they're gonna phase her out. I feel like it's gonna be like she's a part of it, like as a guest at first, and then they phase her out.
I wonder if it's too late to like bring in like a guest or a friend of or something like that. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. It would be very interesting. I know that I know you hate this housewife.
Oh God, don't even say it.
Mo loves her. Leah McSweeney. He loves Leah McSweeney. He loves Leah. And so he was like, oh, we should like have Leah come in and like be like kind of like the bridge from like the old to the new, which like I don't think that's like, because I liked Leah her first season, and I understand like it was kind of a perfect storm in the last season. I don't entirely blame her. I think she did have a part in it, but I think she was looking around her and she's like, I'm not even really friends with Ebony. I'm friends with her because producers are telling me to be friends with her. I have to try to push this show. I'm not really friends with, and she was like trying to make a show happen and just wasn't landing.
Yeah.
So like, I just think it's just like, but
that's fair.
I don't know. I think it would be interesting to see her with like the group. I want Julia Fox.
Oh my God, that's even worse than Leah.
No, I think she is so camp. Do you watch her TikTok? She's crazy. I'm like, her TikTok's like, I'm like, it is the RHONY energy. It's RHONY energy. Like,
really?
Yeah. Like, go watch her TikToks. Like, she is, or like she was just on Z-Way.
Oh yeah.
And it's good. It's good. I think she would be a good fit.
Well, I will take your word for it. But right now we are going to hop into, this is how we like to close out our episodes, is our rapid fire questions. We're going to put 60 seconds on the clock to see how many of these somewhat shady, but actually just mostly shady housewives questions you can get through. Are you ready?
Ready to go.
All right. A Bravo lib you used to really dislike, but now you love them.
Tamra.
Oh, first housewife from any city that comes to mind when I say the word boring.
Peggy from OC.
If you could fire any current housewife, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. Oh shoot. Probably Crystal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Create a housewives franchise in any city.
Oh, I mean, I think like Vegas would be fun.
Oh, yes. If you ran into a housewife in public, you wouldn't even talk to them. Who would that housewife be?
Oh, probably Lisa Vanderpump.
Most overrated housewife ever.
Probably Lisa. Second to Lisa, Heather Gay.
Yes. Housewife you would go to dinner tonight with if you could. Any housewife, past or present.
Lisa Barlow.
All right, and fuck, marry, kill. Mauricio, PK, Harry Hamlin.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Fuck Mauricio.
Mm-hmm.
kill Harry Hamlin. I'm sorry, I love Harry Hamlin. And then probably marry PK because he loves the fuck out of Dorit. I want a man to love me like that.
He is loyal as shit. Absolutely. All right, everybody. That was Zach from the About Bravo podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. Before you leave, tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can follow Mo, where they can follow the podcast, where y'all have new episodes out, all that good stuff.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at @about_Bravo. Our personals are in there. Mine is Bad Guy ZZ, and then Mo's is Modesto Brew, I believe. I don't know. Check on our bio at @about_Bravo. Yeah. But yeah, you can follow us there. And then we release episodes weekly. We're coming out with new episodes after Thanksgiving, though, because we both work retail. So right now it's just a little crazy, but we will be back with recaps and deep dives and everything like that. So.
Woo woo. That's it, everybody. As always, thank you so much for kicking off your weekend with me. Don't do anything I wouldn't do this weekend, which means you're free to go be a crazy slut. Make sure you're following me at Christian Grey Snow on Instagram and get you some Good Housewives merch at theslutpigshop.com. Until next time, bye.